Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to ReZero, Season 2, Episode 16. So last time we got a lot of good with Otto and a lot of bad with Subaru. Because while the backstory for Otto and everything was great, Subaru, his entire speech to Amelia and everything was very self-serving, and it wasn't as great as he was trying to let on. But it definitely progresses us into the next stages of things here. So we're going to have to see how this goes. We're going to have to see how this progresses and how this plan he has moves along. So, yeah. Not much else to say, but to just get on with it, really. So, I'm hoping that it ends up being another good episode, and we'll just kind of go from there. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then it fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, it seems like every time I go into another one of these episodes, my mindset is pretty much at the idea that I'm getting annoyed that this arc is just dragging on and on and on. Because it is. This arc is very much dragging. It just keeps going, and I don't deny that bothers me a bit. Because I feel like this arc really should have been resolved, like, before the second half of the season began. But it seems like this entire season is going to be just this arc. And that's kind of disappointing. Because I wanted more. And this arc is just, it's interesting, and there's a lot of good to it, but I don't know, it just feels like it just feels like it doesn't need to be this long. Like, it's not like a lot of the One Piece arcs where it's like, oh yeah, they justify themselves in being that long. This one feels like already just they could have cut out so much. And that's how I feel going into each of these episodes. But every time I watch the episode, it's like I'm enjoying this so much still. I'm still really loving this. So even despite my misgivings about its pacing and length and everything, I do still enjoy the series. And this episode was a definite huge example of why. Most of this episode was just Subaru versus Gar. These two taking each other on, a battle of wills, a battle of just their intensity, basically. And just going at each other until eventually Subaru, with some help from Patrice, however you want to pronounce it, they were able to beat Gar. And then we got a little bit after, and everything after that kind of felt like just added on. The entire thing about Gar having taken the trial before, I don't think that was brought up before, but I might be wrong. It's hard to remember everything, especially since a lot of it was in the first half, and it's like, it's been a while since I reacted to or watched most of the first half. So it's hard to remember everything, but I don't think that was mentioned before. I think that was kind of a new revelation here. And while we did know about his issues with his mother, I feel like this, this episode really just expanded upon it. In what was the best scene of this episode. Easily. Him facing the trial and getting to find out what actually happened and getting closure allowed Garfield to accept himself in a way, and to accept the situation, and basically to calm his ass down, to not be as aggressive and angry. See, he had thought that his mother abandoned him. He saw that she had died after she left by a rock slide, and having thought she abandoned him to find her own happiness, and his sister as well, he kind of put all of the blame on himself. He viewed it as he still remembered her love, and so he felt that her leaving to search for her happiness was justified, and that she must have been looking for happiness because she must have not liked him and his sister, that she must have hated them, and that she wanted to find her happiness elsewhere. And he basically tricked himself into believing all this, so he also, to make himself feel better about the situation, made himself believe that he and his sister, but especially him, were holding his mother back. And this is actually a very common thing. Like, it's obviously a much different situation in real life when this kind of thing happens, when a parent leaves. But a lot of times the child can blame themselves when a parent abandons them. They can very often blame themselves and take a lot of the pain and anger into themselves because of it. It's actually a very realistic thing to showcase here. And that kind of makes it, in a way, more heartbreaking that he's had to struggle with this for so long. And to find out here that his mother wasn't leaving because she was abandoning them, but because she was trying to find their father and bring him back to be with them. Like, he finally gets this closure. He finally gets to know the truth that his mother did love them. Very much so. And that she was trying to help. That she was trying to do good. And apparently she said in that she was really clumsy. So I guess maybe she was like prone to accidents and troubles and everything. So maybe that explains, I guess, the entire reason why she was why she died, why she was hit by that rock slide. But this definitely gives, as he even said himself, definitely gives closure to Gar and allows for him to let it go in a way. He's been holding on to that for 14 years, basically, since he was a baby. And now he's finally able to just let it go. And I think that's going to be good for him. And we already see it's going to be good for him. We also see Amelia getting ready to take on the second trial, and she's confronted right away by Echidna, who is upset at her, I assume, for kissing Subaru, because Echidna seems to have a thing for Subaru. And based on what Echidna said there, it definitely seemed like that kind of thing. So that's interesting, and I like the fact that Amelia just without question was like just so confident and ready to tackle it and everything. And it's like, I'm a witch too. It's like, oh, okay, you're just owning that, I guess. So that's interesting. Definitely interested to see where that all goes. And I'm wondering about Subaru's new ability. Because he used what looked like the unseen hand. The same kind of thing that we saw in Season 1 with Petal Goose and his fingers and all. we saw them using the unseen hand too. And it's like, that's specifically a thing that Sin Archbishops can do, right? And there's been kind of like this little hint that Subaru might be technically worthy of being a Sin Archbishop. But this is the first time anything like that has ever really come up. I'm wondering if that was what that was, and if what does this mean, if that's the case? Was Satella giving him like a boost to help him in the fight? Because we know Satella has a thing for him too. The witches just seem to have a thing for him. So is that what was going on? I don't know. I don't know. But I'm very much interested to see what this all means. Obviously, don't spoil me on anything, but I'm very interested. I just really hope that they do, like, finish up this arc before the end of the season and have maybe a little something smaller at the end to just kind of close things out. I just kind of want this to be over. Because again, while there's a lot about it I'm enjoying and there's a lot about it that I like, it is so poorly paced. It is so dragged out. It is so... It's just like... It's one of those where I want it to be over. I want it to end already. And that alone is enough of an example of how well it's doing with the pacing. And I don't know, like, if the light novel is any better with that, but it's just, I really want it to just finish this up already. Because, like, it's been, like, what? An episode or two since he made that deal with Roswell, and it's like, oh, I know, I let's make a deal. I know a way how we can rescue both the sanctuary and the mansion, and it's like, and we're not getting to that. We're not doing anything with that. Instead, we're doing some character stuff, which is good. The character stuff is good, but it's just like, you're basically telling us we're going to get shit done now, and we're not getting shit done now. I feel like you shouldn't have had that conversation about the deal until after all of this other stuff. I just feel like putting it before all of this stuff about Otto's backstory and all this stuff about Garfield and all, it just drags it even more. Maybe that's just me, but it is getting a little annoying. So I really hope that they just get to shit soon. I just want them to actually do something, you know? We'll see how it goes, though. We'll see what happens. In the meantime, like I said, tell me what you thought down in the comments below of this episode of ReZero Season 2, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.